Welcome to The Ask. I am your host, White Azimi, and this is our first episode for 2021. Every new year offers up the possibility of change and hope, and this is what I would like to explore in this episode with my interviewee and you, my listeners. Hope is linked to despair. You cannot have one without the other. And in 2015, a sense of despair swept throughout Afghanistan. The Obama administration's surge to suppress and rout the Taliban had ended long ago. And as the United States continued the long drawdown from the country, the Taliban were resurgent. Young Afghan men and women who grew up with a sense that their country would forever be on an upward path to something better now realized they could spend the rest of their lives, much as their parents did, in a land of ruin racked by civil war. And so they went, by the thousands at first, then the tens of thousands, and finally in the hundreds of thousands. This crisis would shape history for the next 10 years and beyond. Faced with millions of desperate souls on the borders of Germany, Chancellor Angela Merkel erred on the side of compassion and opened her doors to these refugees, and in so doing, opened the door for the far right in Germany to finally rise up again from the ashes of World War II. Across the Atlantic, in the United States, businessman and presidential aspirant Donald Trump would seize upon this crisis and use it to frighten American voters about a looming wave of Muslims invading the United States if he would not be elected president. And upon winning office, would quickly impose a ban on Muslim migration and slash America's long-standing commitment to taking in refugees. But however the West saw it, to many, including my interviewee, this moment in time represented a doorway to hope, to peace, a chance to rebuild and continue a life that would otherwise sink back into war or be lost entirely. It is my great honor to introduce the editor, my friend Mirwais Amiri, and to talk with him about the hard choices he had to make against this backdrop. Today on the podcast, I do have an incredibly extraordinary person in the form of my good friend, Mirwais Amiri, who I worked with at Tolo TV many years ago. So Mirwais, thank you for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you. Wazjan.
It's my pleasure and my honor. As I shared in the introduction to this episode of the podcast, the reason why I've invited Mirwais, why I've invited you, is because I think you have an incredibly inspiring story that I think a lot of people can draw hope from, and that at least that is what I'm hoping people will get out of this session between you and I. So with that, let's dive in and learn about your story. Mirwais, could you share with us where you grew up?
Yeah, I was born at the beginning of war in 1980 in Kapisa province in Afghanistan, and in the same year, due to the war situation, my family was forced to go to the Kabul city from the Kapisa province. It means I was born in Kapisa province, but I grew up in Kabul city. I started school in Kabul city in the Mariam Elementary School and finished it in Abdul Hadi Dabi High School. I studied 12 years school for 18 years. Not because I was lazy student. When the Taliban captured the Kabul city, my family and I were forced to leave the Kabul city like thousands of the other families and trip to the Iran country. We lived in Tehran for 6 years, and in these 6 years, there were no formal educational facilities for me, and I could not study officially in Iran. But when I returned to Afghanistan in 2003, I continued my high school and graduated.
All right, thank you for sharing with us some of that background, Mirwais. Kapisa province, where exactly is that in Afghanistan?
The north of Afghanistan.
North of Afghanistan, and ethnically, if I can ask, are you Tajik? Are you Pashtun?
I'm Tajik.
You're Tajik. Okay, I understand. Yeah. I understand. So when the Taliban,
but I am Pashtun as well, Hazara as well, Uzbek as well. I'm not only Tajik, but I'm Afghanistanish.
That is very well put. So you don't really see yourself as Tajik first. You really see yourself as Afghan first.
Exactly.
I understand. But I also understand how the Taliban were a largely Pashtun militia movement, and many of the other ethnic groups felt in fear of them, correct?
Uh,
Well,
Correct.
a better question would be,
Mm,
why did your parents feel like they needed to flee to Iran when the Taliban came into the city and took over Kabul? Because some people stayed, right? Some people stayed when the
yeah,
Taliban came to power. Some people left. Why did your parents feel the better choice was for them to flee and become refugees in Iran?
because my father is working for the government as a military officer. This is the reason that we are leaving the Afghanistan. The Taliban, when the Taliban captured the Kabul city, killed lots of the officer police in Afghanistan. Because of this, my father decided to leave Afghanistan and trip to the Iran.
I understand. So he really felt, because he served in the previous government as a military officer, his life and his family was at risk.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And how old were you when you arrived in Iran as a refugee?
Uh, I was about 15 or 16 years old.
My goodness. And how you were in Iran for 6 years, correct?
Correct.
So from the age of 15 or 16 up until your early 20s, you were not allowed to go to school.
No. I didn't go to the school because
Oh my goodness.
the Iran government do not give the facilities for the Afghanistan people because we are traveling illegal, not legal, without visa. Because of this, we are living in Iran illegal. Because of this, I'm not able to go to the school.
I see. So there were some Afghan refugees who applied for asylum in Iran and were given legal asylum and allowed to go to school,
No,
and there were some who were not.
there's not this process in Iran.
Okay,
Iran cannot accept asylum,
I see.
especially
So
from Afghanistan.
I see. So if you crossed the border from Afghanistan into Iran, the only choice you had was to live as a refugee without asylum, without any kind of protections, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. So no access to education, no access to any public services.
Nothing, zero. Because
Wow.
another my family is my aunt is living before us in Iran. Because of this, we are not faced so difficult to live in Iran. My
Okay.
also the languages, the same language we Afghanistan. This is Persian. And Iranian people also speak Persian. Afghan people also speak Persian. We are
Right.
also speaking Persian. Because of this, we are not faced to difficult problem or difficult to life
Situation.
in each situation in Iran.
Thank you. So the fact that your aunt had moved to Iran ahead of you and was there made it easier for your family to live there for the time that you were there. And I remember,
Yes.
obviously because you and I are good friends and we spent a lot of time talking to each other when we were both working at Tolo TV in Kabul some years ago. Was it in Iran that you discovered computers and were given access to a computer growing up, or was that in Kabul?
No, it was in Iran because there is no facilities for me to educate or study at school. My family decided to buy a computer for me to learn English and learn some programs in computer. Because of this, uh, because of this, I started to learn computer and English language. Then uh, as I said, the time of immigrating in Iran, the educational background was not favorable for Afghans immigrants. And I started to learn editing programs in 1998 by help of my family in one of a private institute for 3 years in Tehran.
I see. So your parents, thinking that they needed to give you something to sort of educate yourself, they invested in a computer, and then they sent you to a private institute in Iran for further studies. And was this institute in Tehran specifically for film editing?
Yes, it is specifically for editing, only for editing. They just teaching the few programs that all programs are for editing.
And can I ask why did you end up taking that course instead of, let's say, coding or programming? Why did you pursue editing, or why did your parents put you in that editing program?
Uh, when my father buy a computer for me, just I'm clicking at the beginning, and I don't know anything in computer. After sometimes, my father said that, what program did you learn? I said that there is no one to teach me. I have to learn in a course or an institute. Then my father searched an institute in Tehran and sent me to learn professionally these programs.
So it really was by accident. Like, you could have gone to any school, but your father had found this school with a strong program in film editing and sent you there. So it was not really sort of a choice of your own.
No, yes.
Well, God bless your father, because what a great course to send you to. I mean, that's a real skill set.
Yeah, on that time there was a very expensive institute. It means my father paid for 1 hour 2,000 tomans. For this time, like this time, it is about 40 euro.
Wow, that is expensive.
Hour. Yeah,
that is
expensive. Too expensive. Yeah.
But it was a good investment, because those 3 years at this private, you spent 3 years there, correct?
Correct. Yes. I want to say that thanks my father that invest on me on that time, that I'm able to be right now. Like,
it changed your life. It changed your life for sure. It changed your life.
Yes.
Because if your father hadn't sent you to that school, you never would have been eligible for that opportunity at Tolo TV, which we're going to talk about a little later. But that was a transformational decision. It gave you a valuable skill set that you were able to use to really grow your career shortly after that time in Tehran. Just out of curiosity, what programs did you learn? Were you learning Premiere Pro, Final Cut? What editing programs were you being taught at that university?
At the beginning, I started with Photoshop. After that, I studied the Adobe Premiere 5.1, when I remember. Yeah, that is two solo program and solo computer. And then I started to learn After Effects, but it is not time to learn that. My father decided to come back to the Afghanistan because the new government generated in Afghanistan.
That's actually a good point. So you're talking about like 2002, 2003. At this time, American forces, along with a coalition of Afghan allies ousted the Taliban from power. They threw them out of the cities and ushered in a new era for Afghanistan and the Afghan people. Now, again, I just correct me if I'm wrong, Mirwais John, but I have. Did you actually go to Afghanistan ahead of your father, or did you go with your family back to Afghanistan?
With my family.
Did you go with your family back to Afghanistan, or did you go to Afghanistan on your own at first?
No. With my family, I did go to the Afghanistan with my family.
Okay, so you all moved back together.
Yeah.
I see. And your father was the one who made that decision to take everyone and return back to Kabul.
Correct. Because when the Taliban, when the American came to the Afghanistan, American force and NATO force came to the Afghanistan, the Taliban was removed from Afghanistan. Then my father decided to come back to the Afghanistan because this is our homeland.
Of course, and living as a refugee in Iran had to have been very difficult for everyone, I'm sure. And that brings us to 2003. So you moved back to Kabul with your family. You studied a couple of years at this university in Iran. You picked up skills in Adobe Premiere and in Photoshop, and you were just about to learn After Effects when you returned back to Kabul. And by the way, for those who are listening, these are all programs that are still in use today. These are obviously older versions of those programs, but they are considered, bedrock multimedia programs that a lot of professionals use for their work. So you arrived back in Kabul, and how old were you at that point?
At the beginning, that was difficult for me to accept that I'm come back to the Afghanistan because there's lots of change in Afghanistan. Less facilities for the people. The street is different. All the areas different.
Good point.
That's
Just
backward.
Just to expand on what you're saying, Mirwais, I too was in Kabul in 2003, and what you're referring to is a devastated city. This city was still slowly emerging out of the Civil War period. Entire city districts had been turned into rubble. There was nothing left of Kabul.
I can say that is like a zombie place in 2002 and 2003, like this. The people is completely changed by 5-year Taliban. Change all the mind of the people. The people is completely different. That the another people come to the Afghanistan, I cannot say.
But I understand what you're trying to say. The entire culture in society had changed over those 5 or 6 years of Taliban rule.
Yes, completely changed.
And I'm sure, even while it was tough living in Iran as a refugee, as tough as that was, it must have been shocking to come back as a young man and your father say, we're all going back to Afghanistan, it's going to be great, and discover this ruined city where you guys now have to live.
Yes, but day by day I'm joining with the people, with our people in Afghanistan, and joining with my cousin and another family, and that is interesting for me. That learning, when I'm leaving the Afghanistan, I was 15 or 16 years old, but right now I'm after 6 years come back to Afghanistan, and hearing for the other people during this 5 years, the Taliban do lots of things for the people, the bad things for the people there, and a lot of complaint from the Taliban. And I see the entire city of Kabul completely destroyed. No building, no street, no living facilities like this.
That's right. That's right. So the city on the one hand was devastated, but on the other hand, you had the opportunity to reconnect with old friends and old family who'd also returned or who had stayed there, and that was good for you.
Yeah, it was like starting for this from the zero. That was like this.
Yes, once again, going back to our conversations in Tolo TV, I remember you telling me how
Mhm,
moving back, it felt like starting from scratch um,
mhm,
when you returned from Iran. So there you are. You've returned to Kabul. The city is obviously still healing, still sort of picking itself up from the ashes of war. How did you hear about this opportunity to join Tolo TV as an editor? By the way, for those again who are listening to this, Todo TV is a obviously a TV channel that was set up in Afghanistan shortly after the Taliban were thrown out by a bunch of pioneering Afghan Australians, the Mohseni brothers
mhm.
and their family, and with a vision to bring uh, light, joy, and happiness back to Afghanistan through the programming that they were envisioning to produce. So that sort of sets the stage for Mir Weiss to discover this sort of startup effort, which it certainly was at the time. It was very much a startup effort. So how did you hear about this new channel that was being put together?
Uh, Good question. When I come back to the Afghanistan, there was only one private channel broadcasted. The other is the national TV channel. Only two channel was broadcasted in Afghanistan.
No
In
way. Just
October,
two
yeah,
channels.
yeah, and in
Channel one and
October,
channel two.
no, that is a national channel, and the another was only one private channel.
What was
In
that
October,
private channel's
yeah,
name? Do you remember?
yeah. Uh, no,
No, you don't
exactly no.
remember. Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
No problem.
Yeah, in October, 2004, I think it was October. The Tulu TV started broadcasting for the Afghanistan, but in the first day and second day I watched the Tulu TV, it is completely different for the young generation. Completely different for the national TV on another TV, private TV. It was very interesting for me to start working for Tulu TV. In 2005, one of my friends told me that Tulu TV needed a video editor, and I had sent a copy of my CV to Tulu TV. A week later, they invite me for an interview. The day of the day I went to for the interview, uh, one person uh, test me theoretically and practically in a computer, and also the uh, editing program. And the next day of the interview, I started working on Tulu TV as a video editor. It was very interesting for me.
So the hiring process happened very quickly, and that's
Yeah.
interesting to hear. So when you went for your interview, did you bring some samples of your work, videos that you'd edited before, or you just went there yourself with your resume in hand, and then they sat you down in front of a computer and ran you through some tests?
Uh, 1 week later, I sent the CV. They didn't ask me to for the some video that I edited. Nothing. They didn't ask me anything. And I go to the interview, just a few questions, then ask me that you have to practically test. We have to practically testing you. I'm saying okay, no problem. There was just 2% in test. That was Amir Tawakuli. The another person is Moshtaba Sier. These 2% um, test me as a video editor, and completely answer all the question. Then Amir Tabakuli and Mustafa Sir said that it's perfect. And after that, another person came. I remember that was I don't want to say the name, tell the name, because maybe maybe she don't want I'm telling her name. Told me that you can come from tomorrow at 8 a.m. in the office and start working.
Okay, so it was a very quick offer. Once they saw
Yeah.
you knew the skills, you had the skills they needed, they immediately made you an offer to join the company.
Yes.
And how excited were you when you got that offer to join Tolo TV?
Oh, on that day that I go to the home, and completely at night I didn't sleep, and I'm very excited that tomorrow 8 a.m. But about 20 about 12 hour passed like some months for me. I'm excited to go to the work for tomorrow at 8 a.m. And on that day I gone to the work at 6 a.m. not 8 a.m.
You went early. You couldn't wait. Were your parents very happy when you brought them the news that you got hired at Tolo TV? Were they proud of you?
Yes, very happy, because they encourage. No,
That's
what's
the
the
right word.
word?
Encouraged. Yes, they encouraged you.
Encourage me that you can work there. It was just for 3 months a test for me, like practicum, that they will pay for me, but it is not completely sign an agreement for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, just for 3 months. After 3 months, they will sign me a contract.
I see. So it was like a probationary period of 3 months of work. If they like your performance, then they would give you a longer contract.
Yes.
I understand. You must have made your father very proud, because he spent all that money sending you to school in Iran for this job, and here you are coming home from them, telling them that you got a job at one of the best TV stations in the country, right?
I'm always proud of my family, especially Zahrajan.
Zara John is your wife's lovely wife, who's probably sitting next to you during this interview. Am I right?
Sure. Sure.
So yeah, what were those early days like at Tolo TV? So it's 2005. I think by now the TV station must have been in operation for maybe 1 year, correct?
Yeah. And not 1 year. When I'm joined Tolo TV, it was about 7 months.
Oh, just 7 months of operation.
Yeah, 7 months. Yeah.
Wow. So it's still brand new.
It was started in October 2004. I'm joined in the 15 or 16 of June.
Okay.
I think.
Basically it'd been running for a little over half a year at this point.
Yes, completely correct.
So very early days. What was it like working for that TV station at that time?
It is so tough.
Tell us. Go back and let us know. The challenge.
Yeah. At the beginning, it was very hard for me to work in Tolo TV, because I was new employee. It was first it was first for me that I'm working in a company, because before this I didn't work for a big company like Tolo TV, because it is hard to me. And also when I'm starting working in Tolo TV, the TV was newly established and the facilities were very limited, and the speed of working was very low in terms of technology. And I had to work late at night. Not only me, but all my colleagues had to work late for about 14 or 15 hours per day.
Wow. So really, really
Yeah.
long work hours.
Yeah, that is not for more in camps, because especially I am left to work in Tolo TV. Because of this, I have to work until late of night. And I believe that this is the only way that I can serve the people for my country, and institutionalization, that I don't remember this word.
No, I think
Yeah,
what you're trying to say is you had this opportunity to build a new institution for the Afghan people through the TV channel, correct?
Genau. And also the foundation of the democracy and freedom of expression.
I understand. So while it was very tough and very long work hours, it was an exciting mission for you and your coworkers.
Yes, but we are happy. We are happy to work until to be even 10 hours, 12 hours, or 40 or 15 hours per day. That was for me lovely.
It's a long time ago. I understand. It's it's gosh, 20 years ago almost. But do you remember how many editing stations you had and what programs you're using?
Yeah, at the beginning, because it was like 7 or 8 station, but there was just 3 or 4 video editors, and also I'm editing in 3 station at the same time.
How did that work, editing at 3 stations at the same time?
Because the encoding takes a lot of time. I'm editing a news in one station, then I come back, I export it. The exporting of videos takes like 1 minute takes like 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
Wow,
I come
1 minute, just 1 minute.
Just 1 minute, yeah. I come to another station, I edited another spots like 1 minute or 2 minutes here. All was the news, national news or also international news. I'm editing from 12 p.m. till 5 p.m. all the news. Before, I'm editing some entertainment show.
So your early days at Tolo TV saw you working across 3 workstations simultaneously. While you were finishing one task, you were starting another. I can't imagine the circus it must have been having to handle that. Were you guys what were you exporting your content on? Mini DV tape?
No, there was another system that just we are sending the files to the copy and paste to the another system. That system send it directly to the broadcast.
Okay. So you guys already were using a network to send video files back and forth.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank God. Could you imagine? You guys are still dealing with physical media. It wasn't that long ago. Thank goodness. So obviously, those early days must have been incredible for you and your colleagues. And very quickly, you moved up the ranks, correct? Because when I met you, you had already become the section manager for Post. So tell us a little bit about that journey of starting out as an editor and then working your way through the ranks. How did you get larger and larger responsibilities at the TV station?
Uh, since 2005, just I started as a video editor. Uh, Become in 2006 become I will tell you again. I started from another sentence. For me, Tolo TV is like a university. Apart from earning money, I was learning a new subject every day. Not just for me, for all those who's work and is still working on Tolo TV. I started working as a video editor in 2005, became a senior video editor in 2006, and in 2008, I took a big responsibility as a head of post-production. All these facilities were provided to the employees by the leadership of Movie Media Group to promote it to higher position, and I had that ability.
Okay, so it happened fairly quickly. You moved
Yeah.
from, I see. Um, when you were moving through the ranks, what were you being told about your work? What did they like about you?
Uh, there was so many things that I'm sharing with you. Because I'm working very hard, and the management of Tulu TV saw that I'm able to manage all the things. When a person is uh, working in three system at the same time, three computer at the same time, he's able to manage the other work as well. Because of this, they give me more responsibility, and more responsibility.
See, so basically, your hard work spoke for you, and they rewarded that hard work by promoting you up the ranks. What does it mean to become a section manager? What were your responsibilities as a section manager for Tolo TV?
Yeah, after a long time in 2015, my position was promoted once again, and I became a section manager. I was leading four departments in the same in this position, but it was easy for me because 10 years working, hard working, and experience had given me the ability to lead four departments at the same time. Let me say that these four departments are the core of a TV, which includes post-production, production management, production design, and data archive. That was a big responsibility, but I was able to lead these departments at the same time. And I was happy that the leadership of Movie Media Group gave me this responsibility to lead four department as a section manager.
Yes, so this is around the time that I met you. I was working at Tolo TV. I joined Tolo TV around 2015 and was there for 1 year. So I was there that year. You became a section manager, um, and I was fully aware that amongst the various sort of top officers at the TV station at the time, you were one of them, and you had. At this stage in your career, you had attained a very senior position in this TV station, and I remember talking to you about what it was like, at that point. Living in Afghanistan, living in Kabul, and one thing that you told me that really struck me, and I never forgot it, was that you told me, I said, is it tough living here in Kabul? And you said, no, Kabul right now is great compared to what it used to be. And I never forgot that Amir Weiss, because I thought about it for a second, and then I connected what I remembered of Kabul in 2003 to how it had transformed in 2015 into a growing modern city. Correct?
Correct. When I compare Kabul city from 2003 until 2015, it is completely changed. Not the building of the city, the people mind also changed. Completely different people, the young generation thinking different, not like 2001 or 2003. The young people thinking different, the old people, the, the young people know when the new government come to the Afghanistan, day by day, the people learn a lot of things, and the city with the people completely grow up.
Absolutely. And I certainly saw that during my brief time at Tolo TV. Obviously, you'd seen a much longer transformation, having worked at Tolo for many years before I showed up on the scene. But I was struck. I'll never forget. I worked on Afghan Star with Samir John. Hi, Samir John. I hope you're listening to this. Along with Mushtaba. I think, did Mushtaba work? He also worked on Afghan Star a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Sitari Afghan.
Yeah. Right now he's a big director.
I know. He was always a big guy, even back then.
Yeah.
But I remember going to the auditions for Afghan Star. For those of you who are listening, Afghan Star is a singing program, a singing competition, much like American Idol, where the program gives opportunities to hopeful singers from all over the country to compete and be named the Afghan Star for that season. And so I remember going to the early auditions for the program and just seeing hundreds of people show up. I didn't travel. Um, I think we had a couple of days of Kabul editions, but I didn't travel with the rest of the team as they went to different cities across the country to hold more auditions. But even at that point in time, you saw that thanks in part to what you and your colleagues at Todo TV had worked on for so many years, you guys had instilled new hopes and dreams in these young Afghan men and Afghan women. They didn't aspire to be warlords; they wanted to be singers.
Yes. Yeah. In 2005, I think it was 2005. We started the first season of Afghanistan. On that time, a lot of people saying a lot of bad words for Tulu TV, that the people working for Tulu TV is bad people. Also the mullah, I think, I don't know how to call it in English, mullah. I don't know the word. Mullah also saying that the Tulu TV Tulu TV
is heretical. They are committing crimes against Islam.
Sure, that it means that the Tulu TV is bringing another culture, another bad culture in Afghanistan, but it was not correct. Right now, the young people know we have lots of singers, we have lots of people that singing.
That's
and
right.
Also, we entertain the people living in Afghanistan, families, kids, old person. We entertain.
That's right. Singing has always been part of Afghan
Yeah,
culture.
yeah, yes.
And so there you were. And the reason why I bring this up, the reason why I set the stage like this, Mirwais John, is because you
Mhm.
had reached the very pinnacle of your career. The city itself had transformed for the better over the 15 years that you 13 12 years that you were there, but yet
It was about 11 years.
yeah, 12 years, that's correct. Your math is better
Elf,
than mine.
elf,
11 years.
elf.
Yeah. um you know so there you were, the city had improved, your career was going very well, but as you know, and as anyone who had been keeping track of what was going on in Afghanistan over those years, the country was still at war, and there was still fighting going on all over the country between the Taliban, various elements, the remnants of Al Qaeda, the you know government forces.
Ice, ice.
That's correct. Well, the people that would eventually become the Islamic State or Daesh, and American forces. There were violent confrontations throughout the southeast. Uh, Around, I mean, it's in many parts of Afghanistan there was still sporadic fighting. People were still being killed. People were still losing their lives. There was car bombings. There was suicide attacks. There's ambushes. There were assassinations. It was back then still a dangerous country. And I remember when I would go to Tolo TV as an employee, we had, I think we had at that point in time, if I recall, we had one main gate, and then people who would go through, they would need to go through a metal detector, correct? There would be guards who would search them, uh, as employees were coming in, making sure no one was bringing weapons. I remember journalists were allowed to carry weapons in the TV station, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
Be-
because of the threat to their lives, there were
Yeah,
several presenters
yeah.
who were always armed.
Not all time. Not all time. It is just after the 2014, 2015, the journalists carry their weapons. Before that, uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. In Kabul city, all journalists going can go free without their weapons. But the another provinces, when a journalist is going to make a report or make a documentary or something else, must to carry weapons, and also the security person as well. I, because the other province, uh, the government cannot
Ensure that
take,
your safety. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now I left Tolo TV around the end of 2015, and actually left Afghanistan shortly after that too. So I was there for 1 year.
Mhm.
But what happened was in the early months of 2016, the Taliban, who were very angry at the coverage they were getting from Tolo TV. They felt that Tolo TV was not presenting them in the way they wanted to be presented. They attacked the TV station. They planned a bombing attack,
Yeah.
and they were able to strike a Tolo TV car in this suicide bombing attack. I forget if it was a car laden with explosives or a bicycle, a motorbike. I forget what exactly the Taliban bomber used, but it was devastating. They blew apart a Tolo TV transport. And I recall these transports
Yeah.
whenever I would leave
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
station around the end of the workday or the end of the work shift. You would see numerous white vans leaving the TV station to drop employees off around their homes throughout the city. And in that attack, several of our colleagues were killed. I'm sure you knew them. You knew more of them, and you knew them much longer than I did. But in that attack, we lost Jawad Husseini. We lost
Yeah.
Mehri Amiri. We also lost Hussein Amiri.
Hossein Amiri, yeah.
And I'm sure many
Seven
more.
people. Yeah,
Correct,
7 people.
correct. And
Let me
you
tell
worked
you.
with all of
Let
them
me.
very closely, correct?
Yeah, correct. Uh, it has happened in 2016, but it has started for October 2015.
I see.
There is a story. I'm telling you. I know that it is a sad story, but I want to share with you. In October 2015, when the Taliban attack on Kunduz province of Afghanistan, a news item was broadcasted by Tulu News that changed the life of lots of people like me. After this item's news broadcasted, the Taliban posted a statement on their website that all Mobi group employees and their family will be targeted as a military. I was worried about my family and my wife and also on my colleague. And after 3 or 4 months and 20th of January 2016, I, with my colleagues, were recording Afghanistan entertainment show in the Doralaman Street. There was a big studio that we rent. There were a big explosion took place 1 kilometer or more than 1 kilometer from us. The sound of which terrified everyone. A few minutes later, I heard that a suicide attack had taken place on the minibus, the transport of our colleague on their way to home. It was a painful day for me and for our colleague. In this attack, that the Taliban claimed responsibility. 7 of our colleagues were killed and 18 or 19, I think 17 or 18 other injured. That was terrible. And I don't remember that day. Lots of I can't say anything more.
No, I understand. I understand, Miwais John, the pain you and everyone else must have felt when.
Yeah, I do not I do not want to go into details because it is upsetting myself and the other
No,
as
I
well.
understand. I
Yeah,
understand. You know, to this day, I'm still friends with Hussein Amiri on Facebook, and his
yeah,
very last picture is of his son, um, and it's November 2013 when he posted it, and that's I wonder. Um, the life that his family is leading. I wonder how his son is, having been deprived of his father. I remember Jawad. I worked with him for 1 year. Obviously, you knew Jawad much longer than I did, but I had such
yeah.
fond memories of Jawad. He was such a hard worker on the Sesame Street program, and I spent many days working essentially only with Jawad because there were times when the rest of the staff would not be in the office and it would be him and I sitting together. And he had big dreams for his life. He wanted to grow as a filmmaker. I remember him applying to a contest or a festival in South Korea. I assisted him with that. I have clear memories of Mehri from Creatives.
Yeah.
How she would always have a bright smile, and she had a great sense of humor too. Would always joke around with us. Just a lovely woman who had her whole life in front of her. And all of that was taken away in that bombing attack. And the truth of the matter is, even before that bombing attack, the security situation in Afghanistan was beginning to fray, and many Afghans. I mean, there were a couple of things that were going on. The Taliban were not being defeated in the field. The Americans were withdrawing. I remember that even back then, when I was working in Tolo in 2015, you know, the Obama administration had completed the surge, which saw a huge troop increase in Afghanistan for a number of years, and now they were drawing down. So from 100,000 U.S. soldiers, they were now dropping down dramatically in terms of troop count in the country, moving their forces to a couple of key bases in different parts of the country. And with that drawdown, you know, you would see heavy equipment and machinery and vehicles being taken out of Kabul and returned back to bases outside of Afghanistan. I remember, I have clear memories of them moving their machinery. And there was this sense in Afghanistan at the time that things were not going well, and things might not get better. And I remember reading about the exodus of thousands of Afghan men and women, families, young people, all fleeing Afghanistan to seek out a better life for themselves around this time period. There was this dawning sense that the very best had happened for Afghanistan, and now people were very worried about what the future would bring, because they realized that, you know, there was a possibility that American forces might leave. There was a possibility that the government couldn't stand up to the Taliban, that things might return back to how they used to be under Taliban rule. And so you had this incredible flight of people from Afghanistan trying to reach safety in Europe. Now, when I met you in 2015, I remember I had the pleasure and honor of having you and your wife Zara Jan over at my house in Kabul.
I remember.
Of course, I'll never forget that. So one of my fondest memories is of having good friends like you and Zara Jan.
Thank you.
And other colleagues of mine from Tolo TV over to my house for dinners or lunches. It's, you know, these are bright, happy memories that I will carry for the rest of my life. But Zara Jan, she actually went back. She went to Germany ahead of you, correct?
Correct.
So how she had relatives who were in Germany who brought her over?
No. I want to tell you brief about Zara Jan. Zara Jan born in Iran and never lived in Afghanistan.
Okay.
In 2015, she came to the Afghanistan to live with me. But during she is in Afghanistan, it was about October. End of October, when the Taliban gave a warning that the movie group employees and families in the target, I talked with Zara Jan several days that the Taliban gave a warning for us, but also to our family. What do you think? Maybe something's bad happened, like suicide attack or throwing one of us. Then we decide, after 1 week, we decide that Zara Jan can move before me with her family to the Germany, because her brothers also living in Germany before, about 10 years or 12 years before, come to the Germany. because the Germany's only place that her brothers support Zarajan, also her family. We decided to Zarajan left before me the Afghanistan, that I'm worried about my family and my wife.
I see. So what happened was shortly after that attack, you sat down with your wife and you guys decided that it would be in your best interest if she were to go and join her brother in Germany, correct?
Correct. Because when she is not in Afghanistan, I'm comfortable for. It is comfortable for me that I'm alone in Afghanistan, and I'm not going out from the office. I'm not going out from home. That it is like I'm not thinking about my wife because she is safe to another country. She is not living in Afghanistan. Because of this, I sent Zarajan early in
That's
Germany.
right, because as you know, danger could strike you at any time in Kabul. You could be leaving your house, you could be going to the supermarket, you could be going to school when a
Yeah,
gunfight could happen or a bomb could go off and injure or kill you. So there was always living in Kabul. You always, whenever you left the house, you always had this feeling that anything could happen. Correct?
correct.
And when you care about someone that you love, it's got to be so difficult worrying about them every day. What's going to happen to Zara John while I'm at work? What, it has to be so difficult psychologically. So I could understand you wanting to bring some peace into your lives and some certainty that your wife was safe, is safe.
Yeah,
Um, so I understand the reasons why you felt it was so important that she escape Afghanistan. So Zara John goes ahead and makes that journey to Germany. But there you are in Kabul, and once again you've achieved so much in your profession. You were one of the top officers at Tolo TV. When did you realize that you had to make this journey yourself?
uh, after the suicide attack, we continued our work with more powerful. I'm happy that on that time I didn't leave the Afghanistan, because on that situation, all the people think how to leave Afghanistan, but I'm not thinking about how to leave Afghanistan, because there was just me and I'm not thinking about anything else. To I was secure in the office. I'm sure that the Taliban cannot come to the office and
That's right. The office was
yes.
heavily defended. I remember even when I left Kabul at the time,
Yeah,
they were changing how the compound in which Tolo TV was
yeah,
situated. They were adding a lot more rings of security to the TV station even before the attack. So it
yeah.
was a fortress.
The Tulu TV street is like a big military camp like this. The Taliban never can go to the Tulu TV street, because there's lots of facilities for the employees, like safe zone and lots of security guard, and also the after the suicide attack, another the military also came to the Tulu TV street. I want to tell you that how I did feel that leave Afghanistan. When the suicide attack happened, the president's security advisor came to our office to counsel us. One of my colleagues, I don't remember the name, who was asked from the president's security advisor that now we are in a bad security situation. What facility does the Afghan government give us? Or how can the Afghan government prevent us from the another Taliban attack? he said that the Afghan government used all its security facilities to prevent an attack on you guys, but it has happened. There is no more facilities, and we are trying prevent from another suicide attack, but we cannot guarantee. These words, these sentences made me to leave the country.
So it's when you were told there's no way the security services could ensure they could stop another attack.
Yeah.
You realized
Yeah.
your life and the lives of your colleagues would always be at risk.
Yeah. When the president security advisor saying like this, that is completely understandable. That when the government cannot take my security, this is not the place that I'm living here. That was this sentence made me to leave Afghanistan. And that time, I talked with the CEO, and I take the decision to leave Afghanistan, and I have to move to another country like Germany.
And so tell me about that process. Like, you realized that you had no other choice but to seek safety and reunite with your wife, Zara John, in Germany. How did you plan for that with your family to make that journey? What was involved in planning for that journey?
For me, it is easy to make a good plan in a bad situation because I was head of post-production and I'm leading lots of solve lots of problems. After the threat of the Taliban in October 2015, I talked with Zara John, and we made 3 plans before the attack. That we choose the first plan that Zara John is going first. Then when something happened or the security situation is going bad, we used another plan. After the suicide attack, I talked with the, I decided it is time to leave Afghanistan, and I communicated my decision with the CEO of Movie Group, and they helped me with a Turkish visa. After obtaining the Turkish visa, I flew to the Istanbul, Turkey, and on 9th of February.
Okay, so there you are. You arrive in Turkey.
Yeah. On 9th of February, I arrived into Turkey. I had already talked with one of my friends before that I'm fly to the Istanbul. He was Farijan Rastagar, who's a famous singer. I don't.
Oh yes.
You know that, yeah?
Yes, I recall Farijan Rastagar. He was a judge on Afghan Star, right?
No, Vajajan was the judge of Afghanistan. Farijan was.
But I've heard his name before. I remember him being a celebrated singer.
I talked with him, and he reserved an accommodation in Istanbul. When I arrived in Istanbul, I was looking for a smuggler to take me to the Greece. I spent lots of days, like 11, 12 days in Istanbul to find a good smuggler to send me to the Greece. And hopefully I succeed to find a person and send me illegal without visa to the Greece.
And so for those who are listening, and I think you could tell us a little bit more about this, but basically what that meant is that they would put you on a boat and push you into the sea and hope that you reach Greece safely, correct?
Yeah,
It was
correct,
very
correct.
dangerous.
Because very dangerous, not for me, for all the people. On that time, all European borders were open for the Afghans, Syrians, and Iraqi refugee. But when I arrived to the Greece in the autumn,
Borders are closed.
some people saying that the border is closed, but I didn't accept that. And also, I take a ticket to go to the border from the Athens. When I arrived to the Magdune borders, all borders were closed, and there is no way for the refugee. And I was stranded in Athens for 3 months. During this time, I agreed with several times with smuggler to make travel documents to go to the Germany. The Athens city was full of refugee. The Greece government were bankrupt, had less facilities for the immigrants, but the Greece people helped the immigrants as well. After 3 months and
Wait,
few days,
before you get too far ahead, um,
yeah,
I understand that you skipped that journey over the sea. What was that like? Um, so you were in Turkey. You found someone who could get you to Greece. What was that boat ride like, and how long was
uh,
it?
uh, the boat was like 5 or 6 meter, 6 meter, and that was a good ship. That was a good boat, like the car. It was not like the
It was solid. It was well made.
yeah. No. I didn't make. That was a tourist ship, a tourist boat.
Okay, so
Not
it was
not not.
safe. It was safe.
Yeah, because I gave a lot of money to the smuggler to send me safe, not with the boat that the people made it in the neighbor the sea.
Right, like the life rafts that would overturn and people would drown.
Yes, because when I was in the Istanbul, there was my friend also Zabijan Ahmadi. He was our colleague, brother of Masoud John Ahmadi. You know that he
Yes, I
was
do.
he was a famous presenter. You know that or not?
Yes, I recall.
Yeah, he talked with a lot of people, a lot of friends that to find a good person that send me to the Greece. He tried a lot of with me to find a person that he will find a person, and I gave about, it was about 3,000 or 300, $3,500. I pay for
Dollars,
the genau,
U.S.
exactly.
dollars.
US dollars, yeah,
Wow,
to
a
send me,
fortune.
safely from the Turkey sea border to and the Athens.
Okay, I understand. So you spent a fortune getting yourself safely to Greece. You arrive in Athens and discover that in fact Europe had closed, and you ended up being
Yeah.
stuck there for 3 months. And tell me, how did you survive 3 months in Athens?
First, when I arrived to the Magdalene border that was closed, there was a military camps for the immigrants. It was a big camps for 2,000 people, but there was less facilities for the people. I was about 6 or 7 days in the military camp. Then I come back to the Athens. when I come back to the Athens, because of and the border of Macedonia, there was no way to move to the Germany. When I come back to the Athens, there was lots of smuggler to send illegal people to the another country, Europe country. I talked with lots of the smuggler, and I was agree.
You must have been when you arrived in Macedonia and you saw that military camp that had been set up for refugees like yourself fleeing for asylum. It must have been scary.
Yeah, because
it must have been shocking for you, because you at that point you thought the borders were still open, you could probably still safely make it over to Germany without too much trouble. So it must have been a shock to see that.
It was terrible for me, because when I come to this area, to the Macedonia, then I can, without spending money, without spending lots of days in the autumn, after 2 days I come to the Germany. But it was my bad chance to come to this later to the border.
So there you are, you return back to Athens, you talk to many other smugglers to see what other options you have, correct?
Correct. I talk with this many of smugglers, but every time when they send me to airport to fly to Hamburg or another place, it takes 15 days or 14 days to make a document for me. And I arrested several times by the airport police for the illegal documents provided by the smuggler. But each time the Autumn police released me after a few questions, hopefully. But after the several times that
must have been so hard. I can just put myself in your shoes. There you are with your passport, hoping to get through the departure gate and on your way to Germany to be with Zara John. And then a police officer walks up to you and says, "Can you please step this way?" It must have been the first time it happened, it must have been so difficult.
Yeah, it's so difficult, but everyone and on that time in Athens know that when a person with illegal document going to the airport, when the police capture him, then after few questions they will release the person. They will free the person.
I see. Yeah, so you were not worried about being thrown in prison?
No.
Okay.
No. And also, I have a letter from the Greece government that I can stay in 6 months in Greece.
I see. So you had a letter saying that you could legally stay for 6 months in Greece. Okay.
Yeah. After trying few times with the smuggler, I found a good smuggler that he told me that in 1 time I guarantee to send you in the Hamburg. I told him, you cannot. I try lots of time. He says, I'm guarantee 100%. Give me 6,000 euro. I will make you a document that nobody knows. It is not fake. It is legally a good document, a legal document in the Europe. I gave him 6,000, but I'm saying that when in the first time I'm not fly to the Hamburg, then I will come back. I will take 7,000. He accepted that. It's okay. Don't worry. When you come back after trying first time, when you come back, I will give you 7,000. But hopefully I can travel
Okay, so
with
basically he said that if you cannot make it to your destination, he will give the money back to you.
yeah, give me 1,000 more, give me
I see. Okay.
back. Yeah, like gambler. Hopefully I can travel it with a fake document that was fake, but I don't understand
Meanwhile, Sean,
how
these
can.
are huge sums of money that you're talking about. 6,000
But
euro
I have to
for.
pay. But I have to pay.
I understand, but it must have been so incredibly difficult to get this money. So it
Yeah,
must have been all your savings.
when I spent lots of money in 3 months and autumn as well. Because of this, when it is
So that was basically all your savings from your work at Tolo, correct?
uh, also I take a lot of money from my father as well.
I see. So you borrowed some money from your father too.
Yeah, yes.
I see.
Because when I'm not doing this, I have to wait in autumn, and every day is charging for me, like uh, like 50 euro
Of course, you need
in
to
Athens.
eat. You need some place to
Yeah,
sleep. Of course, every day comes with a cost. It must have been
yeah.
so stressful for everyone involved, including yourself.
Because of this, I was on that time I'm agree to pay more, but in that day I'm flying to the Germany. Because of this, I have to pay 6,000 for a fake document.
And my question to you is that did it actually work?
Yeah, yeah, it's work, and that's it.
So that allowed you to fly from Athens to Germany.
Yeah, the fake ID was from the another country. When the smuggler come to me that your ID is ready, then another person with the smuggler come and told me that follow me. I have to follow him. Then he told me that you have to go to this ship with this ticket and this ID card. I again uh, pick up a big ship, and come
So
back to
this
the
time it was not a plane; it was a ship,
no,
seaboat.
it's not seaboat. That's a ship, trap ship, big, like the
Huge.
ship, huge.
Okay.
The huge ship, and
Okay.
and I go to into the ship with a ticket and fake ID. Then I come back to the Iceland. What called Jazeera?
Iceland.
Iceland. Yeah, not Iceland. The small, the small, the small. It's called Iceland in English.
I don't know. Which
No,
country are you thinking of?
the small place between the water.
Sorry, you're talking
And
about like a port? Port?
no,
Beach?
let me check and translate.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, that's so. Ensel.
Okay, Isle. Yes, I understand. Isle. Okay.
Iceland. No. You are correct. Iceland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Iceland. I come back from the autumn to another Iceland near to Turkish. I travel. Yeah,
Back into Turkey.
yeah, about 80 hours. I come back to the near to the from the autumn near to the Turkish. Then
So
I
I got to ask
see.
you, Mirwais Sean,
Yeah,
when the boat finally left and started its journey, how did you feel? Like you must have felt great that you were finally moving somewhere.
yeah, yeah, because I'm thinking this is the only way that I follow the order of the smuggler, because he is an Afghan in the Athens, and he promised me that I'm not telling you telling you lie, and your money is here safe, and when you come back, I will give you your money, and when you arrive, I will take your money. That is and also
That was his
I have
promise.
to follow. Yeah, I have to follow. There's only way. There's not another choice that I'm doing something else. Then after 70 or 80 hours, I become an Iceland. When I get out from the big ship, he called me that you are arrived. I excited how he know that I'm arriving in the Iceland. Then he told me that there was a taxi. They gave me the number plate, the number of the taxi, and he told me that you have to get in the taxi. I get in the taxi, and he moved to the airport. In the Iceland, there was a small airport. When I arrived to the airport, there was nobody. Then again called me that you arrived in the airport, sat in the waiting room. I sat the waiting room. After a few minutes, the boarding is starting. I go to the boarding to take the boarding ticket. Then the police said, you have to stop here. All the people gone, and I will stop in the airport. The flight was 15, and when I saw the watch, it was about 5 minutes to 12.
Oh my
Only
goodness.
I have 20 minutes. The minutes going like like rockets. After 10 minutes, one police came to me and say, okay, this is your ticket, this is your ID, hurry up, follow me. I did follow the police. Police says that put all the things here without checking, and the airport. He sent me to the airplane. Give me to the another person that go and show him the airport airplane. Where airplanes fly to the Hamburg. The another person show me that is your airplane. There is no bus, there is no taxi. You have to run. I did run about 300 meters in 2 minutes, and I catch the airplane. That was only 2 minutes to fly the airplane.
Oh my God.
I did fly, hopefully, and this is one of the best moments of my life.
I could just only imagine how you must have felt as the plane took off and brought you to Hamburg, Germany, and your wife Zara John. So
let me tell you another story. Mm-hmm. When I catch the Hamburg, when I come out from the airport, nobody check me. I come out from the Hamburg airport without checking.
How?
I don't know. When I come from the when I come out from the airport, I saw that there's a street whole taxi is waiting for the passenger, and there is a big rail station, like metro. And I asked from another person that, how can I go to the city center? He told me, you can go with the train, and also there's a lots of taxi. You can go like this. Just I take a ticket and get in the train. After after 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I arrive to the city center. I tell everybody, but nobody is accept this, that I'm come out from the Hamburg airport without checking.
Well, Zara John, was she in Hamburg or was she in another part of Germany at that time?
On that time, she was in Bremen. No. When I arrived to Hamburg, before I'm come before I'm flying from the Iceland, I told to Zara John, we are connecting. I told that you have to go to the Hamburg. Today is my flight. She said, okay, I will come to the Hamburg, but she didn't believe. every time I'm saying that today is my fly day, but unfortunately I arrested by the police. On that the last time I am saying that I'm fly. When I am getting in the airplane, I text to Zarajan that I am fly. She was tracking me by find my friend. It was an apps and the iPhone. She tracked that I'm in the airport, and then I was disconnected for 3 or 4 hours. She believed that I'm fly, and she came to the Hamburg, and yeah, that was the best moment.
So she was there.
Okay.
She was there to meet you. Did she meet you at the airport or the city center?
No, in the city center, because she was new in the Hamburg. She don't know how to go to the airport, or and also this is easy for me that I come to the city center. The city center is a famous place for everybody. Because of this, she told me that you can come to the city center. I was here near the flower shop. There is a big flower shop. When I come to the city center, there was nobody. I was alone. Zara John was not there.
No,
Then,
really?
yeah. I trying to buy a SIM card. Hopefully, I found a shop that he gave me a SIM card, and then I called to the Zahrajan. Where are you? She said that. Where are you? I told him that I'm in the city center. She said, no, you are not in city center. I was 2 hours in the city center. You must to arrive in the city center 2 hours early, but right now you are not. Are you in police station in this land? I told him, no, no, I'm in the city center. Then he come back to the city center, and
Rest is history.
yeah.
It must have been so great reuniting with Zara John after that long journey.
Yeah.
And so Mirwais, John?
Yeah.
Hold on sorry. Let me say that again. Mirwais John, so there you made that epic journey from Afghanistan to Germany. You finally reunite with Zara John. And I don't mean, obviously, we've been speaking for some time now.
Mm.
And there's so much that has happened, I'm sure, over these last 4 or 5 years for you. But could you tell us what it's been like living in Germany? How has the experience been for you too?
Uh, s- mm, at the beginning, it was not easy for me. It was so difficult because I don't know the German language and know I don't know the culture of the uh, German people. Also, I don't know the entire the city because it is so difficult. But slowly, I connected to know how to know the German people, and also I learned German culture, German language, and right now I'm happy to live and safely with Zarajan in the Germany, and we are happy from the our decision to come here.
I'm very happy you made that decision too, Mirwais John. I completely understand the reasons why you made that decision. I think if I was, in your shoes, if I grew up in Kabul or grew up in Pakistan and Iran, and had the opportunity to seek out a better life for myself, I would have tried to have made the same journey. So I entirely understand your reasons for having fled Afghanistan when you did. Could you share us what hopes you have for the future that's in front of you in Zarajan? I know it's been a very long journey, many years that have required you to be very patient. What are you looking forward to in the years ahead?
Yeah, you know that every human have a lot of hopes, but the greatest wish, the greatest hope, not only for me but all the Afghans, or there will be a peace in Afghanistan, so that as I live in Germany, they can enjoy and secure life in Afghanistan. Another of my dreams is that uh, that one day I will return to Afghanistan without fear and meet my family and my friends. And and finally, just can I say that I wish that God would give us children. That is my hope in the future.
I'll be praying for that, Mirwais John. And I,
Thank
I
you.
just want to add here, we didn't cover this in the interview, but you did share with us with me, and I hate to bring it up, but once again, anyone who's listening to this, I want them to understand the kind of situation that you fled. You are not you have siblings, you have brothers. And I remember asking you,
Yes.
there was one brother you were very proud of who was in the army at the time, and you shared his picture with me when I was working at Tolo. I asked about him in the years that followed, and you shared with me that something terrible had happened to your brother.
Yeah. It.
The reason I know it's so painful for you, but the reason why I ask it is because I want people to know who he was, how good he was, what happened to him, and once again, the reason why this journey was important for you.
Yeah. He was my little brother, but he was like a big brother for me. He was a kind person for me and for my family.
What was his name, your West John?
uh, Jabbar.
Jabbar John.
Yeah, Jabbar. When I arrived in Germany in 20 of June 2016, I checked my Facebook. There was a news that one of his friends shared that today is a bad day for us because Jabbar John is not more alive. When I saw this news on the Facebook, I'm shocked that it's not true. Maybe someone make a joke. I was in the bus traveling from the Bremen city to Hamburg city. Zarajan was naming me, sat in the chair. I didn't say anything to Zarajan, but he's always asked me, what has happened to you? What has happened to you? Why your face is red? I didn't tell her anything until I arrived to the Hamburg. Then I called my another brother, Rafijan, that he didn't answer me. He didn't pick up my phone call. I called everybody, nobody in Afghanistan pick up my phone, didn't answer. After several times, I called to my father, my mother, and my brother. Then my brother pick up my phone and say, I quickly asked that it is true or not. He told me what is true or not. I told him that there is a news in the Facebook that Jabbar John is killed. Jabbar John is killed by another person and the hero. He says, yes, it's true. He has worked for the government. He was a police and he was a military officer.
He was a senior officer, correct?
Yeah, correct. He was a senior officer in the Herat province. When this happened, it completely destroyed my life. I can't say anything else.
I knew this was going to be very painful for you to talk about, Mirwais John, and I'm sorry for bringing you back to some very difficult and very painful memories that you'll carry for the rest of your life. You know, no one gets over the death of a family member. No one gets over the death of a sibling. It's something that stays with you. And you know, my heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to your family. You know, I once again, one of the things that stayed with me was just how incredibly proud you were of Jabbar. And you know, that's why, you know, in the years that followed, I asked about him. And the reason why I bring it up at the end of this interview with you is so that listeners, once again, understand that you did not make that decision to leave Afghanistan lightly, and that there were real risks that you faced with choosing to stay and work in Tolo, risks that could have ended with you losing your own life. And in the years that have followed, since your arrival in Germany, there's not a day that goes by that we don't interact on Facebook. And I cannot tell you how happy I am as a friend, knowing that you are somewhere safe, that you are somewhere peaceful, and that you
Thank you.
have this opportunity to build a great life for you and your wife, Sarah John, and indeed your children. And I'm very thankful for that. And I think that I find your life and your story very inspiring. It has been difficult. Those 4 years in Germany, the 5 years that you've been there, have been difficult. They haven't been easy. I know the person that you are. You left Afghanistan as a top ranked professional at a very good place of employment, and threw that all away for this new life that you and Zara are hoping to build. And I have a tremendous amount of empathy um, for you for having made that decision. It was a very brave decision. It required a lot of courage. You faced a lot of adversity. You went through a lot of pain, and you survived. And you have grown, and you have a bright future to look forward to. And I would like to thank you for giving me hope in my own life. And hopefully, the story that you shared with me today, for those who will listen to this, hopefully it will give them some inspiration and hope in their own lives too. So, from the bottom of my heart, Mirwais Jonas, my friend, thank you for coming on the podcast. It's been a real honor to speak to you here.
Yeah, thank you too, Vice John, to give me time to speak with you.
Of course, your story is very important. I consider you a good friend, and I look forward to being in touch with you and Zara and
Sure.
meeting your kids in the years to come.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Vice John.
Thank you, my wife, John. Have a wonderful evening. I can hear Zara John making dinner for you in the background. I'm sorry for talking to you for almost 2 hours, but I very
It's
much
okay.
I very much enjoyed our conversation and look forward to speaking with you again soon. Take care, my wife, John.